The second my retirement became official, Commander Ingrid Carlisle held up a ring. Not a challenge coin. Not a retirement gift. A ring. White gold. Small blue stone. Very real. I was still holding the security badge I had just surrendered. Ingrid stood across from me in the empty briefing room, looked at the badge, then at the ring, and said, "You guarded me for 6 years." I stared. "Yes, ma'am. You can stop calling me ma'am. That might take a while. Then start practicing." She raised the ring slightly. "Now guard me as my husband." I forgot how retirement worked. For 6 years, my job had been keeping Commander Carlisle alive. Advance routes, threat assessment, motorcade security, travel protection. The occasional miserable night outside a conference room while she argued with people important enough to have security details of their own. Ingrid was known for 3 things: never missing a briefing, never raising her voice, and never letting anyone know when she was afraid. Apparently there was a fourth: proposing to retiring protection officers with no warning. I pointed at the ring. "That better not be government property." "It isn't." "You bought it?" "Yes." "When?" "3 months ago." My hand stopped halfway to the retirement envelope. 3 months. Not impulse. Not a joke caused by the emotion of my final day. Planning. "You bought a ring 3 months ago." "Yes." "For me. For us." "Ingrid." Her expression changed when I used her name. Barely. But I knew her face better than most people knew their own. Her left eyebrow tightened when she was irritated. Her mouth went completely still when she was worried. And when she wanted something badly enough that asking made her uncomfortable, she rubbed her thumb across the edge of her watch. Her thumb was doing that now. "You planned this?" "Yes." "Before my retirement was approved?" "Yes." "Did you have anything to do with the approval?" Her thumb stopped. "No." Good answer. Fast answer. I recused myself from the final recommendation. That surprised me. "You did?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I knew what I wanted after." She looked at the ring. "And I needed your retirement to be your decision before I asked for anything that might affect it." That landed harder than the proposal line. Still, I did not move toward the ring. Ingrid noticed. "Of course. You're not saying yes. You haven't technically asked." "I told you to become my husband." "That is exactly the problem." Her eyes narrowed. "I am no longer your commander. My retirement became official 90 seconds ago." 98. "You counted?" "Yes." I laughed despite myself. There she was. The ice commander. Romance by stopwatch. I leaned against the table. "You cannot spend 6 years giving me orders and then make your first civilian sentence another order." For the first time, Ingrid looked genuinely caught. Not angry. Caught. That was poorly phrased. Extremely. She lowered the ring. Then took a breath. "Aaron Beckett." I straightened automatically. She glared. "Stop doing that. Conditioning." She tried again. "Aaron, would you have dinner with me tonight?" That was better. "Yes." Her shoulders loosened. "Would you consider dating me?" I looked at her. That one came harder. "Yes." Her eyes softened. Then she lifted the ring again. "And would you consider eventually?" "Slow down." The ring stopped. I laughed. "You went from dinner to marriage in 6 seconds. I have had 6 years." "I haven't." That hurt her. I saw it immediately. Good. Not because I wanted to hurt Ingrid. Because there was something she needed to understand. For 6 years, I had been responsible for her safety. That created habits. I knew how she took coffee. Knew she hated elevators with mirrored walls. Knew she slept badly before casualty notification meetings. Knew she checked exit doors twice when she was anxious and pretended it was tactical awareness. But knowing someone professionally was not the same as being allowed to want them. She had apparently crossed that bridge years ago. I had not. "You really never knew?" she asked. "Knew what?" "That I wanted you." I laughed once. "Ingrid, you once thanked me for taking a knife away from a drunk diplomat by saying, 'adequate response.' It was highly adequate. That is not flirting. I brought you coffee the next morning. You bring coffee to your staff. Not with cinnamon." I stopped. She knew I only used cinnamon on bad mornings. "Interesting." She continued. "I changed my return flight from Brussels because your sister was having surgery. You said the summit schedule changed." "It did." "Because you changed it?" "Yes." I stared. "You rerouted an official delegation?" "No. I moved my own return by 4 hours. Everyone else stayed on schedule." "Still, that was not nothing." "And when I broke my wrist in Anchorage?" I asked. "I visited the hospital." You were already there. I stayed after the doctor cleared you. I remembered that. At the time, I thought she wanted the incident report. She had sat in the corner for 40 minutes and never opened the folder in her lap. I looked at her differently. Small. Then a bigger question. How long? Ingrid went still. How long what? Have you wanted this? Her thumb returned to her watch. There. Nervous. I smiled. You're terrible at hiding from someone who watched you for 6 years. She looked almost offended. 4 years. My smile disappeared. What? 4 years. That was much longer than I expected. What happened 4 years ago? Ingrid looked at the ring. Then back at me. You told me no. I frowned. I have told you no approximately 900 times. This one mattered. When? Ramstein. Memory hit. A security alert. A transport delay. She had wanted to enter a building before the sweep was complete. I blocked the doorway. Physically. She told me to move. I said no. She threatened to relieve me. I told her she could do it after the sweep. She had been furious. You fell for me because I disobeyed you? No. Her voice softened. I started noticing you because you were the only man around me who could say no without trying to prove he was stronger. That shut me up. The ring suddenly felt less ridiculous. Then my phone buzzed. A civilian number. I looked down. My new employer. North Star Wilderness Response, final onboarding confirmed. Anchorage start date moved up to next Monday. Ingrid saw the name. Her face changed. You're leaving Monday? I looked up. You knew I was going to Alaska. In 3 weeks. They moved it. How long? Initial contract is a year. Her eyes went cold. Not angry. Afraid. First time I had ever seen it that clearly. A year. Yes. And after? I don't know. She closed her fingers around the ring. There it was. The bigger question. Not whether Ingrid Carlisle wanted to marry me. She had made that painfully clear. The real question was what happened when the man she had waited 4 years to pursue was leaving in 6 days for a life that had nothing to do with protecting her. And for the first time in 6 years, my commander could not order the danger away. Ingrid did not ask me to cancel Alaska. That lasted 11 minutes. We were halfway through dinner when she put down her fork and said, I could offer you a civilian security position here. I looked at her. There it is. What? The counteroffer. It is not a counteroffer. You waited 11 minutes. I showed restraint. You brought a ring to my retirement. That is unrelated. I laughed. We were sitting in a small steakhouse 20 minutes from base, nowhere near anyone who knew either of us. No uniforms. No staff. No security detail. Just Ingrid in a dark green sweater that made her look less like Commander Carlisle and more like a woman I had somehow failed to notice properly for 6 years. She continued. The Regional Command Office needs a civilian risk advisor. No. I have not described it. You don't need to. It pays well. No. You would remain independent. No. Her eyes narrowed. You are rejecting the concept because it keeps you here. Correct. That is irrational. No. It is exactly why I'm rejecting it. She went still. I leaned forward. I chose North Star before I knew about the ring. I know. I chose Alaska because I want to find out who I am when nobody needs me standing 3 feet behind a commander. That landed. Ingrid looked down at her plate. For 6 years, every important moment between us had happened because danger existed. A convoy. A flight. A briefing. A secure room. Even the memories she had just used as proof she cared about me were tied to the job. I needed something else. You think I only know you as my protector, she said. I think you know me very well. That sounds contradictory. It isn't. I took a breath. You know what I do when you're tired. You know what I notice in a room. You know when I'm about to argue with you. Yes. But do you know what I'm like when nobody needs anything? Ingrid did not answer. Good. That was the point. I don't, I said. Not really. Her face changed. That answer hurt both of us more than I expected. Then she asked, what does North Star actually want you to do? No argument. A real question. Remote emergency planning. Backcountry rescue support. Training civilian teams. You'll still be protecting people. Yes. But not me. There it was. Not jealousy exactly. Something more vulnerable. No. She picked up her water. Took one sip. Set it down too carefully. Do you know how much I hate that answer? Probably. I dislike probability. I know. Her mouth moved slightly. Then she surprised me. Take the job. I stared. What? Take it. You just tried to keep me here. I know. 11 minutes ago. I was wrong 11 minutes ago. That was new. Ingrid Carlyle did not reverse herself casually. I studied her. Why? She looked directly at me. Because if I stop you now, I will never know whether you stayed because you wanted me or because I made leaving inconvenient. That was the woman I trusted. Possessive enough to buy a ring. Disciplined enough to let me walk away from it. Small became something bigger. Then she added, I am still coming to Alaska. I nearly choked. You are what? Visiting. You have not been invited. I am aware. That sentence usually means disaster. I will ask. Now? Yes. She folded her hands on the table. Aaron, may I visit you in Alaska after you settle in? I smiled despite myself. How long after? 2 weeks. No. 3. No. 4. Maybe. Her eyes brightened just enough to reveal how badly she wanted the yes. 4 weeks. We'll see. That is not confirmation. You are adjusting to civilian life too. I dislike it. I laughed. Then a woman approached our table. Captain Elise Ward, one of Ingrid's operations officers. She froze when she saw us. Commander. Ingrid's expression changed instantly. Professional again. Elise. Then Elise looked at me. Aaron. Retirement dinner? Before I could answer, Ingrid said, date. My fork stopped. Elise's eyebrows rose. Ingrid did not blink. Public preference. No hiding. No pretending this was a farewell meal. Understood, Elise said, far too carefully. Then she smiled at me. Congratulations on Alaska. We'll miss you. Thanks. She left. I looked at Ingrid. You just told one of your officers we're on a date. Yes. We have been on this date 40 minutes. Yes. You are moving fast. I waited 4 years. You keep using that as justification. It remains relevant. I laughed. Then her phone buzzed. She checked it. Her expression changed. Not because of work. Because of the name on the screen. Brigadier General Carlyle. I looked at her. Your father? No. My brother. That surprised me. You have a general for a brother? Yes. You never mentioned that. You never asked. Fair. She answered. Daniel. A pause. Then her eyes moved toward me. He knows. Knows what? She lowered the phone slightly. That I bought the ring. My stomach tightened. Why does your brother know? He helped me choose it. I stared. Ingrid Carlyle had not only planned this 3 months ago. She had involved family. Before my retirement. Before I had any idea she wanted me. The call ended. I leaned back. For weeks? She frowned. What? You said you started wanting me 4 years ago. Yes. But the ring was 3 months ago. Yes. So what changed 3 months ago? For the first time all evening, Ingrid hesitated. There it was. The next mystery. What happened? I asked. Her thumb found her watch again. Then she said quietly, your retirement request reached my desk. I stopped. You bought the ring after I filed. Yes. Why? Her eyes held mine. Because that was the first time I realized protecting you was about to end. She paused. And I discovered I did not know how to lose the place I had in your life. That was the truth beneath the proposal. Not marriage. Not yet. Fear. The woman I had guarded for 6 years was not afraid of Alaska. She was afraid that once I no longer had a duty to stand beside her, I might discover I never wanted to. And suddenly the ring made a lot more sense. Ingrid's first attempt at being my girlfriend began with a security inspection of my apartment. I caught her checking the lock on my balcony door. Ingrid. She turned. What? You are inspecting my windows. I am looking. You tested the latch twice. It is loose. It has survived 7 years. That is not the same as being secure. I took the screwdriver out of her hand. She frowned. You own a screwdriver? Yes. You never struck me as someone who did. I guarded a commander for 6 years. I learned to expect structural failures. That is not funny. It was a little funny. She folded her arms. It was Saturday, 2 days before I left for Alaska. I had expected to spend the weekend packing. Ingrid had arrived at 9 that morning carrying coffee, breakfast, and a handwritten list titled, Things Aaron May Forget Before Relocating. I had confiscated the list before she reached item 4. Now it sat face down on my counter. You cannot organize my move, I said. I am not organizing it. You labeled my winter gear. You had 3 identical black bags. They were working fine. They were chaos. They were bags. She stared at me. I stared back. Then she laughed. It happened so suddenly I almost forgot what I was saying. I had heard Ingrid laugh before, usually once, quietly, at something somebody else said. This was different. She leaned against the counter and actually laughed at me. I liked it too much. That, I said, is unfair. What? You becoming likable after I retire? Her laughter stopped. Then her face softened. I was likable before. No, I was. You once scheduled my dental appointment without asking. You had canceled it twice. That is not a defense. It is an excellent defense. I shook my head. There was the Ingrid I knew. But something had changed. She was not standing in my apartment because she needed protection. She was there because she wanted to spend Saturday with me. That distinction kept catching me off guard. At noon, I closed the suitcase. Done. Ingrid looked around. That is everything? Yes. You are moving to Alaska with 2 suitcases? And a shipping crate. That is disturbing. Why? You have almost nothing. I have enough. She walked toward the bookshelf. Most of it was empty now. Then she noticed the old photograph I had left on the top shelf. Our unit in Germany. 20 people outside a transport hangar. Ingrid stood in the center. I was 6 feet behind her. Exactly where I always stood. She picked it up. You kept this. So did half the unit. She turned it over. Then froze. I knew why. Someone had written on the back years ago. Beckett, try standing in the photo instead of guarding it. Ward. Ingrid read it twice. That was Elise? Yes. She has always been irritating. I smiled. You're jealous of a 4-year-old note? No. You're holding it like evidence. I dislike her handwriting. I laughed. Ingrid put the photograph down. Then, very casually, asked, Did you ever date her? There it was. First jealousy. No. Did she want to? I have no idea. That means yes. That means I genuinely have no idea. Ingrid looked unconvinced. I stepped closer. Commander Carlyle, I told you not to call me that. Then stop interrogating retired personnel. Her eyes narrowed. I smiled. For the record, I wasn't interested in Elise. Her expression changed immediately. Good. One word. Far too satisfied. I stared at her. You really are jealous. I am evaluating historical risks. She is married. Reduced risk. I laughed again. Then Ingrid's phone rang. She looked at the screen and declined it. That was unusual. Work? Yes. You should answer. No. It could be important. It can wait 15 minutes. I stopped. In 6 years, I had never heard Ingrid Carlyle say work could wait. Why 15? She looked at me. Because I have something I want to do before you leave. The room suddenly felt quieter. What? She did not answer. Instead, she reached into her coat pocket. For one terrible second, I thought the ring was coming back out. It wasn't. She handed me a small envelope. Inside was a single card. No military seal. No typed memo. Just Ingrid's handwriting. One day. No rank. No security. No plans I make without asking. Below that, would you spend tomorrow with me? I looked up. You wrote this? Yes. You could have texted. I know. Why didn't you? Her thumb rubbed the edge of her watch. Because she was nervous. I wanted to ask correctly. That hit me harder than it should have. The woman who had commanded hundreds of people was relearning one sentence at a time because I mattered enough for her to try. Yes. Her eyes lifted. Yes? I'll spend tomorrow with you. Good. There was that word again. I smiled. You look way too pleased. I am. That was probably the clearest thing she had ever said about an emotion. Then I did something neither of us expected. I reached up and touched her face. Ingrid went completely still. Not afraid. Just startled. For 6 years, every physical contact between us had a reason. Move. Duck. Stay behind me. Medical check. Evacuation. This had none. You okay? I asked. Yes. Sure? No. I smiled. Finally, an honest answer. Her eyes dropped to my mouth. Then back up. She could have closed the distance. She didn't. She waited. That mattered. So I kissed her. Once. Slow enough to make it a choice. Brief enough that neither of us could pretend it answered everything. When I pulled back, Ingrid's eyes were still closed. Then she opened them. That was. I waited. Adequate? She glared. I laughed so hard I had to step away. That is going to follow me forever, isn't it? Absolutely. She grabbed the front of my shirt and pulled me back. The second kiss was hers. Less careful. Much less military. When we finally separated, her phone rang again. Same caller. This time she answered. Carlisle. I watched her expression change. The softness disappeared. Not entirely, but enough. Yes, General. A pause. Then, tomorrow? Another pause. I understand. She looked at me. Something in her face made my stomach tighten. When she hung up, I asked, what happened? Ingrid placed the phone on the counter. My promotion board moved the interview. To tomorrow? Yes. I looked at the card still in my hand. Our one civilian day. When? 10:00. That's fine. We do something after. She did not answer. Ingrid? The position is in Washington. I went still. How long? 3 years. Now it was my turn to understand the real problem. I was leaving for Alaska in 48 hours. And the woman who had just kissed me for the first time might be offered the biggest command opportunity of her career on the opposite side of the continent. Ingrid looked at me carefully. I could withdraw. No. The answer came so fast she blinked. Aaron. No. It would simplify. No. Her jaw tightened. You don't even know what I was going to say. Yes, I do. I stepped closer. You were going to make yourself choose before anyone asked you to. She went silent. I am not staying because you can keep me close, I said. And you are not shrinking your career because I'm leaving. Her eyes held mine. Then what are we supposed to do? For the first time since she held up that ring, neither of us had an answer. And that was probably the first truly civilian problem we had ever faced together. Ingrid went to the promotion interview. I drove her. That was not the original plan. Her staff car had been scheduled for 8:30, but at 7:50 she appeared outside my apartment in civilian clothes and said, would you take me? I looked at her. Are you asking me to chauffeur you on my last full day here? Yes. Very romantic. I can take the staff car. I smiled. No. Get in. She did. For the first 10 minutes, neither of us mentioned Washington. Then Ingrid said, if I get the position, I will probably take it. Good. Her head turned sharply. That was fast. You want it? Yes. Then take it. You're leaving for Alaska. Yes. You keep saying that as if geography is a minor administrative issue. It is compared to regretting a career decision for the next 20 years. She looked out the window. I dislike how reasonable you are. You liked it in Ramstein. I liked that you were reasonable in ways that supported my decisions. Ah. I smiled. So love has limits. I did not say love. I looked at her. She realized what she had done. Too late. You were about to. No. You absolutely were. I was constructing a sentence. With the word love. Her face went slightly red. That was worth retiring for by itself. I pulled up outside the headquarters building. Ingrid reached for the door. Then stopped. Aaron. Yeah? If I get this. I waited. Do not congratulate me and disappear. The teasing left the car. I won't. I mean it. So do I. Her eyes searched mine. For 6 years, whenever one of us transferred, deployed, or changed assignments, there was always another schedule, another security plan, another reason we would see each other. She looked down. This time there isn't. I understood. The ring had not been about rushing toward marriage. Not really. It had been Ingrid trying to turn uncertainty into something she could hold in her hand. A plan. A guarantee. A mission. I reached across the center console. Go earn the job. She looked at me. And after? Come back and ask me that question when you have the answer. She nodded. Then, before opening the door, she leaned over and kissed me. Quick. Deliberate. In public. 2 officers walking past definitely saw. Ingrid did not care. That was new. Good luck, I said. I do not need luck. Of course not. She got out, then leaned back down through the open door. But thank you. I laughed. 3 hours later, she came out carrying a folder and looking annoyed. That face means either you got the job or threatened someone. They asked if I was prepared to prioritize the command above my personal life. What did you say? That competent adults can have both. I smiled. Did they like that? No. Then? I told them if they wanted an officer who had no personal life, they should recruit a machine. I stared at her. You said that to a promotion board? Yes. How are you still employed? My record is excellent. There was my Ingrid. She got into the passenger seat. Then said, they offered it. I looked at her. Already? You got Washington? Yes. A major promotion. 3 years. The assignment she had spent most of her career working toward. I reached over and squeezed her hand. Congratulations. She did not smile. What? I accepted. Okay. Why do you look happier than I do? Because you earned it. She stared at our joined hands, then whispered, I wanted you to ask me not to. That stopped me. Not because I would. Because she had admitted it. You wanted me to make it easier. Yes. To choose me instead. Yes. I leaned back. Ingrid, if I asked you to turn down Washington, would you? Her answer took too long. That's why I won't ask. She looked at me. That doesn't mean I don't want you. Her thumb moved over my knuckles. I know. No. Listen. I turned toward her. I don't want the version of you who gave up the thing she spent 15 years earning because she was afraid I might leave. Her eyes became glassy. Barely. But I saw it. I want the woman who takes Washington and still calls me from there because she misses me. That sounds inconvenient. It will be. I hate inconvenient. I know. And Alaska is cold. You are terrified of moose. I am not terrified of moose. You once rerouted an entire morning run because one was near the trail. It was unpredictable. I laughed. Finally, she smiled. That afternoon became the civilian day she had asked for. No itinerary. No base. No official vehicles. We drove until we found a lakeside town neither of us had visited. We ate terrible sandwiches from a roadside diner. Ingrid lost at mini golf and accused the course of being improperly graded. She bought a ridiculous wool hat because I told her she looked too serious without one. And for 4 hours, I met a woman I had never been assigned to protect. She hated mustard. She loved old bookstores. She secretly bought postcards everywhere she traveled but never mailed them. At one shop, I caught her slipping one into her bag. What does that one say? Nothing. Ingrid. She handed it over. The front showed Alaska. On the back, she had written one sentence. For the place that stole you first. I looked at her. You bought an Alaska postcard before I've even moved there? I am preparing. For what? Her answer came quietly. To miss you correctly. That nearly finished me. I put the postcard in my jacket pocket. Then I'm keeping it. It was mine. Historical risk. She narrowed her eyes. I kissed her before she could argue. That evening, we sat beside the lake as the light faded. No security team. No schedule. No one waiting for Commander Carlyle. Just us. Ingrid rested her head against my shoulder. Then she said, I need to tell you one more thing before you leave. What? The ring wasn't originally meant as a proposal. I turned toward her. What? She reached into her coat. The same small ring box appeared. You said it was for us. It is. Then what was it? She opened the box. This time, she lifted the ring out and turned it over. There was an engraving inside the band. I had never seen it. 2 words. Your choice. I looked at her. Ingrid. I had it engraved before your retirement was approved. Her voice was quieter now. I knew what I wanted. She closed her fingers around the ring. But I also knew the first thing I gave you after you stopped being under my command could not become another obligation. That changed everything. The ring was not supposed to trap me. It was supposed to remind her not to. She placed it in my palm. Take it to Alaska. I stared. You want me to carry your engagement ring? No. A small smile. I want you to carry my question. And if the answer changes? Her smile faded. Then you send it back. That was the bravest thing Ingrid Carlyle had done since I retired. She gave me the one thing she wanted most. And removed every guarantee. I closed my hand around the ring. Then looked at her. I'm not sending it back. Her breath caught. I smiled. But I'm still not marrying you tomorrow. She exhaled sharply. Aaron. I laughed. For years or not, you're dating me properly. She stared at me for 2 seconds. Then said, Fine. Fine? Fine. A pause. How often? I laughed so hard people on the other side of the lake turned around. And the next morning, I boarded a flight to Alaska with 2 suitcases, 1 shipping crate, and my commander's ring in my pocket. For the first time in 6 years, there were 3,000 miles between us. Which meant whatever happened next could no longer survive on duty. It would have to survive on choice. Ingrid lasted 36 hours before breaking our first long-distance rule. The rule was simple. No surprise inspections. At 6:12 on Wednesday morning, someone knocked on the door of my temporary cabin outside Anchorage. 3 precise knocks. Pause. 2 more. I knew that rhythm. I opened the door. Commander Ingrid Carlyle stood on my porch wearing a navy coat, carrying 1 overnight bag, and looking completely pleased with herself. I stared at her. You said 4 weeks. I revised the timeline. You said you would ask. I did. When? Last night. You texted, "Are you awake?" That was the opening question. You never sent the second one. My flight boarded. I looked past her. Snow. Rental SUV. No security detail. No aid. No government vehicle. Just Ingrid. You flew 3,000 miles without telling me. Yes. That sounds suspiciously like an inspection. It is a visit. At 6 in the morning. My flight landed early. You could have booked a hotel. I could have. She waited. That was the part that mattered. She did not step inside. Did not assume. Did not order. Just stood there in the cold until I made the decision. I moved aside. Come in. Her expression softened. Good. There was that word. She walked past me, then stopped in the middle of the cabin. The place was small. One bedroom. Tiny kitchen. Gear stacked by the wall. A map of the Kenai Peninsula pinned above the table. Nothing impressive. Ingrid looked around like I had shown her something important. This is where you live. For now. She touched the back of one chair. You like it? I do. Her eyes moved to me. You really do. There was something almost disappointed in her voice. I laughed. You were hoping Alaska was terrible? No. You absolutely were. I hoped it was moderately inconvenient. So I would come running back? I did not say that. You flew here in 36 hours. She took off her coat. Washington is not officially mine for another month. And I hadn't used leave. That may be the least convincing explanation you've ever given. She gave me a look, then noticed the ring. It was hanging from a thin cord around my neck. Not on my finger, but not in a drawer either. Her eyes stopped there. I saw the exact moment she noticed. You brought it. You told me to. I told you to take it to Alaska. I did. You're wearing it. Technically, I'm carrying it. Her hand rose halfway, then stopped. May I? That almost got me. Yeah. She touched the ring lightly. Nothing dramatic. Just one finger against the metal. Her thumb trembled. Barely. Still your choice, she said. I know. She let go, and did not ask for an answer. That was the first real thing she did right that morning. By 8, we were driving north. I had a training session with North Star's new rescue team. Ingrid assumed I would leave her at the cabin. I tossed her the spare key. You can come. She caught it. As what? Civilian observer. Her expression became suspicious. No authority? None. No one has to listen to me? Correct. That sounds inefficient. You'll survive. She came anyway. At the training site, 12 rescue specialists were practicing winter extraction drills. My supervisor, Owen Mercer, walked over. Aaron. Then he saw Ingrid. I watched him straighten slightly. Not because he knew who she was. Because Ingrid had that effect on people even without a uniform. This is Ingrid, I said. Just Ingrid. Her eyes flicked toward me. I noticed. So did she. Owen Mercer, he said, offering his hand. You work with Aaron? Ingrid looked at me. Then answered. I used to. Owen smiled. Lucky you survived. I was thinking the same thing. I laughed. That was another surprise. She was not introducing herself with rank. Not correcting anyone. Not taking control. She stood beside me while I worked. And for the first time, she watched me lead without being responsible for her. That changed something. During the afternoon drill, one trainee froze during a simulated ice rescue. Not physically. Mentally. Too much noise. Too many instructions. He started making mistakes. I stopped the exercise. Walked him 10 yards away. And said, forget the team for a second. Give me the first problem. He looked at the training victim. Unstable ice. Good. Second? Wind. Third? Visibility. Now solve one. His breathing slowed. 2 minutes later, he was back in the drill. When we finished, Ingrid was watching me strangely. What? You never did that with me. Did what? Make things smaller. I smiled. You would have fired me. I would not. You threatened to fire me at Ramstein. That was different. You were angry because I made one problem smaller. I was trying to enter a secure building. Exactly. She looked toward the trainees. Then said quietly, I thought your value was protecting people. That's part of it. No. She looked at me. I think your value is making people believe they can handle what comes next. That stopped me. Because nobody had ever described my work that way. Not even me. You've been here one day. I watched you for 6 years. Different job. Same man. There it was. The thing I had been afraid she did not know. Maybe she knew more than I gave her credit for. That evening, Owen invited the team to a local bar. I expected Ingrid to decline. She didn't. She sat with rescue techs, pilots, medics, and two people who had no idea she was about to become one of the most powerful commanders in Washington. And somehow, she looked comfortable. Until Maya Torres arrived. Maya was North Star's operations coordinator. Smart, funny, and apparently very interested in whether I had adjusted to Alaska. She dropped into the seat beside me. You finally found a place with decent coffee? Barely. I told you I'd show you the good spots. Across the table, Ingrid became completely still. I knew that stillness. Threat detected. Maya looked at her. Sorry, I don't think we've met. Ingrid. Maya. They shook hands. Then Maya smiled at me. Aaron, Saturday's still good for that trail? I opened my mouth. Ingrid spoke first. What trail? I looked at her. You are not allowed to interrogate civilians. I asked one question. Maya glanced between us. Then smiled. Oh, that O contained far too much understanding. Aaron didn't tell me he had someone visiting. Ingrid's eyes moved to me. He didn't? I sighed. I found out you were visiting this morning. Maya laughed. Then looked at Ingrid. Girlfriend? There it was. A simple word. One Ingrid and I had never actually used. I expected hesitation. Instead, she looked at me. Not possessive. Not demanding. Asking without words. I could have corrected it. Could have said complicated. Could have said we were figuring it out. Instead, I answered. Yes. Ingrid's expression changed instantly. Not dramatically. Just enough for me to see the relief. Maya nodded. Got it. Then she turned back to me. Saturday Trail is still open if both of you want to come. Both. Not competition. Not a threat. Just life. Afterward, Ingrid and I walked back toward the truck. She was unusually quiet. You okay? Yes. That answer is suspicious. She looked at me. You called me your girlfriend. I did. You've never done that before. We've been dating 4 days. 5. You counted? Yes. Of course she did. I opened the passenger door for her. She did not get in. Instead, she stepped closer. So this is official? I smiled. You need paperwork? No. Then yes. Her eyes softened. Good. I kissed her before she could say anything else. When we separated, she rested her forehead against mine. Then whispered, I received another message today. The warmth disappeared immediately. What message? Washington wants me there early. How early? 10 days. I looked at her. She continued. And they want me to oversee a classified task force for the first 6 months. What does that mean for us? Her face changed. That I may not be able to visit Alaska again until winter. There it was. Not a 3-week inconvenience. Not a weekend problem. Months. She looked at me carefully. I can still withdraw. No. Aaron. No. Her jaw tightened. Then I took the ring from beneath my shirt and held it between us. You engraved this with your choice. She looked down. So choose. Her eyes lifted. Washington? Your career. And you? I smiled. Choose me separately. For once, Ingrid Carlisle had no immediate answer. But she reached for my hand. And held on. Ingrid. She looked at me. Yeah? Choose me separately. For several seconds, neither of us moved. Then she nodded. Okay. That should have been simple. It wasn't. Because the next morning, Ingrid proved exactly how difficult separately was going to be. We were eating breakfast when my phone rang. Owen. I answered. Morning. You sitting down? I looked at Ingrid. Yes. North Star got shortlisted for the federal winter response contract. I straightened. What? The Washington Task Force wants 3 civilian emergency teams for the Northern Corridor. We were one of 5 finalists. That was huge. Not because of the money. Because North Star was still small. Winning a federal contract like that could put us on the national map. When's the evaluation? 2 weeks. I smiled. Then Owen added. In Washington. My smile stopped. Across the table, Ingrid had already understood from my face. What? She asked. I covered the phone. North Star got shortlisted for a federal contract. Her eyes brightened. That's excellent. In Washington. The brightness disappeared. Which agency? I asked Owen. He told me. Then I slowly lowered the phone. The task force Ingrid was about to oversee. Of course. Because apparently the universe had decided 3,000 miles was not complicated enough. I finished the call. Ingrid sat perfectly still. That contract falls under my command. I guessed. You cannot bid. I looked at her. What? Her expression hardened. Not cold. Professional. If I oversee the task force, your company bidding creates a conflict. I felt something tighten in my chest. You're saying North Star has to withdraw? I'm saying I need to confirm the rules. That sounded pretty final. Because it may be. I stood. Aaron. No. She looked up. You don't get to kill my opportunity before checking. I am trying to protect you. And there it is. Her expression changed immediately. What? The thing we keep doing. I leaned against the counter. You protect me by deciding first. I'm not deciding. You said I cannot bid. I said. You said exactly that. She went quiet. Good. I did not want to fight. But I did want this fixed. My career cannot become smaller because I'm dating you. I know. And yours cannot become smaller because you're dating me. I know. So what do we do? This time, she did not answer immediately. She took out her phone. Made one call. Then another. 20 minutes later, she had an answer. And I could tell from her face that she didn't like it. Well, North Star can remain in the competition. I relaxed. But I have to disclose our relationship and fully recuse myself from the selection process. That sounds reasonable. It is. You hate it. Yes. Why? Her jaw tightened. Because I know this project. And I know what your team can do. There it was. The part she hated. Not losing control over me. Losing the ability to advocate for something she genuinely believed was good. You don't get to recommend us. No. You don't get to defend us. No. You don't get to influence the panel. No. I smiled. Then don't. She looked offended. That easy? No. I walked over. But clean. She stared at me for a moment. Then nodded. Clean. That afternoon, Ingrid flew back. Not to Washington. Back to base for 10 final days before transferring. We did not have a dramatic goodbye at the airport. No tears. No promises that distance would be easy. She simply held my hand until boarding was called. Then she looked at me. Call tonight? Are you asking? Her eyes narrowed. Yes. Then yes. She kissed me. Publicly. Again. Then walked toward security. Halfway there, she turned around. Aaron. What? She pointed at the ring hanging beneath my shirt. Still your choice. I smiled. So is Washington. She gave me one sharp nod. Then left. The next 2 weeks became the strangest version of dating I had ever experienced. Ingrid called me from hotel rooms, secure offices, airport lounges, and once from the back seat of a car while 3 staff officers pretended not to hear her ask whether I had eaten. I sent her pictures from rescue training. She sent me pictures of the terrible temporary apartment Washington assigned her. One night, I received a photo of an empty kitchen cabinet. Caption: I own one plate. I replied, historic weakness. She sent back, do not become insubordinate from Alaska. I smiled for 10 minutes. But then the federal evaluation week arrived. North Star sent Owen, Maya, and me to Washington. The first morning, I walked into the assessment center and saw Ingrid at the far end of the lobby. Uniform. New insignia. New staff. Completely in command. For 1 second, every instinct from the last 6 years came back. Check exits. Track movement. Watch the crowd. Stay 3 steps behind. Then Ingrid saw me. And stopped. The staff around her kept walking 2 steps before realizing she was no longer with them. Her expression changed. Not much. But enough. She wanted to come over. I could tell. She didn't. Conflict rules. Recusal. Distance. Instead, she gave me the smallest nod. Not commander to subordinate. Not girlfriend to boyfriend. Just, I see you. I nodded back. Then walked into my evaluation. That was harder than I expected. For 6 years, standing near Ingrid had been my job. Now respecting her meant staying away. North Star's evaluation lasted 2 days. Technical simulations. Emergency planning. Field scenarios. Cost reviews. No shortcuts. No mysterious help. In fact, if anything, the panel was harder on us. One evaluator finally said, Mr. Beckett, given your personal relationship with Commander Carlisle, do you understand why this award could create public questions? I looked him directly in the eye. Yes. And if you think North Star is not the best team, Don't pick us. The room went quiet. I continued. But don't punish 12 people for a relationship that has nothing to do with their work. The evaluator studied me. You're comfortable with that? Yes. Because that was the whole point. I did not want Ingrid opening doors. I did not want her closing them either. I wanted the same door everyone else got. After the session, I found her waiting outside the building. Civilian coat over her uniform. Far enough from the entrance that nobody could pretend she had influenced anything. How did it go? She asked. You're not allowed to ask. I'm allowed to ask how you feel. I smiled. Better. Good. She hesitated. Then said, I hated today. Why? I watched you walk into a room where I knew half the people. And? I could have helped. But you didn't. No. I stepped closer. That matters. Her voice softened. It did not feel like helping. It was. She looked at me, then laughed quietly. I'm beginning to understand why you were so irritating as my protection officer. You're welcome. We walked 3 blocks to her apartment. The place was exactly as advertised. 1 plate, 1 glass, 2 coffee mugs. I opened a cabinet. You exaggerated. What? You have 2 mugs. One is for you. I stopped. She said it casually. Too casually. I turned. You bought me a mug? Yes. When? The first day. Ingrid. What? You arrived in Washington and immediately gave me cabinet space. 1 mug is not cabinet space. It is emotional real estate. She rolled her eyes. But she was smiling. Then I noticed something else. On the refrigerator. The Alaska postcard. For the place that stole you first. You brought it. She looked at the card. Yes. I thought it was mine. You stole it. Correct. So I made another. I pulled it down. On the back, she had written, It didn't steal you. It gave me somewhere to come find you. I read that twice. Then looked at her. You are getting dangerously good at this. At what? Dating. I have strong learning capacity. I laughed. Then my phone buzzed. Owen. 1 message. Final decision tomorrow morning. We're down to North Star and Meridian response. I showed Ingrid. Her face immediately became unreadable. Meridian is excellent, she said. I know. You could lose. I know. She looked frustrated. Not at me. At herself. Because she could do nothing. Then her own phone rang. She answered. Carlisle. Silence. Her expression changed. What complaint? I straightened. Another pause. Then she looked at me. No. Do not contact Mr. Beckett. Send it to ethics. She hung up. What happened? For a moment, she said nothing. Then, Meridian filed a formal complaint. About what? Our relationship. I exhaled. Of course. They claim North Star's finalist position may have resulted from undisclosed influence. You disclosed everything. I did. And recused. Yes. Then we're fine. Ingrid did not answer. That worried me. What? She looked at me. The ethics office wants to review all communications between us since your retirement request. I went still. Every call. Every text. Every visit. Including the ring. Including her first trip to Alaska. Including the fact that she had loved me before I retired. And suddenly the clean line we thought we had drawn between her career and mine was about to be examined by people who had never seen the 6 years before it. Ingrid's first instinct appeared on her face. Fix it. Control it. Protect me. Then she stopped herself. And asked, What do you want to do? That question told me we were finally becoming something stronger than commander and guard. I looked at her. We tell them everything. We tell them everything. Ingrid looked at me for several seconds. Then nodded. No editing. No protecting. No convenient omissions. Her mouth tightened. That last one was unnecessarily specific. You were thinking about it. I was considering whether every private message was relevant. That is called omission. That is called scope. I smiled. Commander. Her eyes narrowed. Retired man. There she was. Still fighting. Just differently. The ethics interview happened the next morning. Separate rooms. Separate statements. Separate attorneys. That part mattered. Nobody could accuse us of coordinating answers. The first question they asked me was simple. When did your personal relationship with Commander Carlisle begin? I answered immediately. After my retirement became official. When did you become aware she had romantic feelings for you? About 2 minutes after retirement. The investigator looked up. That quickly? She held up a ring. For the first time, the attorney beside him almost smiled. Then came the harder question. Did Commander Carlyle have romantic feelings for you before your retirement? Yes. How long? According to her, approximately 4 years. And you were unaware? Yes. Completely? I thought about the cinnamon coffee, the changed flights, the hospital visit, the things that look different now, completely enough that I never acted on them. That was the truth. The investigator slid a page toward me. A printed copy of one of Ingrid's messages. Would you spend tomorrow with me? Another. Still your choice. Another. I am recusing myself from the selection process. He looked at me. Do these messages suggest Commander Carlyle was emotionally invested in you while your company pursued federal work? Yes. Could that investment influence her? It could. That answer surprised him. Could? She is human. I leaned forward. The question isn't whether she has feelings. She does. Then what is the question? Whether she used her authority because of them. And did she? No. How can you be certain? Because I was there when she learned about the conflict. I told them exactly what happened. She said Northstar might need to withdraw. I pushed back. She checked the rules. She disclosed us. She recused. She stayed out. No secret phone calls. No recommendation. No favorable access. Nothing. Then the investigator asked, would you describe Commander Carlyle as someone who tries to protect you? I laughed once. Yes. Excessively? Historically. And yet you believe she did not interfere? Yes. Why? Because she had learned. But that sounded too personal. So I gave them the professional answer. Because protecting me used to mean taking control. I paused. Now she understands that sometimes protecting me means leaving my choices alone. The room went quiet. That was the real test. Not whether Ingrid loved me. Whether she could love me without turning love into authority. My interview lasted 90 minutes. When I walked outside, Ingrid was sitting alone on a bench across the hall. No staff. No phone in her hand. Just waiting. She stood immediately. How bad? I smiled. You're not allowed to ask what they asked. I know. You really hate rules when they apply to you. Yes. I moved closer. How is yours? She exhaled. They asked why I bought the ring before your retirement approval. That was the obvious question. What did you say? The truth. Which was? That I bought it because your retirement request made me realize I wanted a life with you. She looked irritated. And then I told them I recused myself because wanting that life made it even more important that your retirement remain independent. I smiled. That's good. I know. Very modest. I am under stress. I laughed. Then she became serious. They also asked whether I visited Alaska to influence your decision about Northstar. I stared. You visited before we even knew about the federal bid. Exactly. And? They confirmed the timeline. Then we're fine. She did not say yes. Again. That was becoming annoying. Ingrid. There is another issue. What? She looked toward the closed ethics office door. Meridian submitted an email. My stomach tightened. What email? One I sent 4 months before your retirement. To who? My brother. That surprised me. What did it say? Her jaw tightened. I told Daniel that if you ever left the service, I would ask you to come with me. That sounded bad. Not illegal, but bad. Come with you where? At the time, Washington was only a possibility. I understood immediately. They're going to say you were planning your promotion around me. Yes. Were you? No. Fast answer. Good. I was planning my life around the possibility that I finally might be allowed to ask you something. That was different. But I could see how outsiders might blur the line. What happens now? They review the email chain. And Northstar's contract? Frozen until the review closes. That hit harder. Not because of me. Because 12 people at Northstar had worked for this. Owen. Maya. The whole team. My relationship was now costing them time. Possibly the contract. I looked away. Ingrid noticed. Aaron. No. She stopped. I know that look. What look? The one where you decide everyone would be better off if you removed yourself. I looked at her. She was right. And I hated it. If I withdraw from Northstar. No. Her answer was immediate. Too immediate. I raised an eyebrow. She caught herself. Then closed her eyes. When she opened them again, her voice was different. Would you like my opinion? That almost made me laugh. Yes. Do not withdraw. Why? Because you earned your place. And if Northstar loses because of me, then let the review decide that. She stepped closer. Do not punish yourself before anyone has found you guilty of anything. That was not Commander Carlyle speaking. That was Ingrid, the woman who had finally learned that not every uncertain outcome needed to be controlled in advance. The review decision came 48 hours later. I was at North Star's temporary Washington office when Owen walked in holding his phone. His face gave nothing away. "Well?" I asked. He handed me the screen. I read the first line, then the second, then again. No evidence of improper influence. Ingrid's disclosure and recusal had been timely. The email to her brother was personal, not operational. My retirement approval remained clean. North Star's finalist status stood. The bid resumed. I exhaled. Owen slapped my shoulder. "You owe everyone drinks." "Why me?" "Because your girlfriend almost got us investigated into retirement." I laughed. Then my phone rang. "Ingrid." I answered. "Hey." Silence. Then, "Did you see it?" "Yes." Another pause. "We're clear." "We are." I could hear her breathing. Not relief about her command. Not even about the ethics finding. Something else. "Aaron." "Yeah?" I realized something during the review. "What?" I kept thinking I was afraid they would take Washington away. She paused. But I wasn't. I stood. "What were you afraid of?" "That you would decide being with me cost too much." That one hurt. Because there it was. The fear beneath every order. Every plan. Every ring. Not losing rank. Losing me. I looked at the ring still hanging beneath my shirt. Then said, "Come downstairs." Silence. "What?" "You heard me. You are ordering me?" "No." I smiled. "I'm asking." 3 minutes later, Ingrid walked through the lobby doors. Still in uniform. Still carrying the expression everyone in Washington knew. Then she saw me. And it disappeared. I took the ring from beneath my shirt. Her steps slowed. I held it up between us. She stared. "Aaron, for 6 years, you trusted me with your life." Her eyes did not leave the ring. And the last few months, you finally trusted me with my own." I slipped the ring off the cord, then placed it in her palm. Her face went white. "You're giving it back." "No." She looked at me. I closed her fingers around it. "I'm giving you another chance." Her breath caught. "To do what?" I smiled. "Ask me properly." For the first time in 6 years, Commander Ingrid Carlyle looked completely terrified. And tomorrow, for once, the answer would belong entirely to us. Ingrid did not ask me the next morning. That surprised me. I expected a call at 0600. A location. Possibly a written agenda. Instead, at 8:17, I received one text. "Are you free tonight?" I smiled. "Yes." 30 seconds later. "Would you have dinner with me?" "Better." "Yes." Another pause. Then, "Civilian clothes." I stared at the message. That sounded like an order. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Finally, "Would civilian clothes be acceptable?" I laughed. "Yes, Commander." Her reply came immediately. "Retired men remain insufferable." The day gave me something else to think about. At noon, Owen walked into our temporary office carrying a folder. "Might want to sit down." "Why does everyone say that before giving me important news?" "Because you have trust issues." I took the folder. North Star had won the federal winter response contract. I read the page twice. No special consideration. No unexplained scoring. The independent panel had ranked us first in field performance and second in cost. We had earned it. Owen leaned against the desk. "You good?" I nodded. "Yeah." "You don't look excited." "I am." But the feeling was quieter than I expected. For years, I thought success would feel like proving something. To commanders. To former colleagues. Maybe even to myself. Instead, it felt like this. I had chosen a life outside Ingrid's shadow. And I had succeeded without needing to leave her behind. I called her. She answered on the second ring. "Carlyle." Very romantic. A pause. Then her voice changed. "Aaron." "We got it." Silence. Then, "North Star?" "Yeah." "You won?" "We won." Another silence. I could hear voices in the background. Staff. Phones. Washington moving around her at full speed. But when she spoke again, she sounded like nobody else was there. "I'm proud of you." Not "I knew you would." Not "I told you so." Not "good." "I'm proud of you." That mattered more. "Thanks. I wish I could have been in the room." "I know. But I'm glad I wasn't." I smiled. "Now you understand." I dislike how often that happens. "You'll survive." I have been told that. Before hanging up, she said, 7 tonight. I waited. She sighed. Would 7 work for you? Perfect. Good. There it was. At 7, I found Ingrid outside a small restaurant near the Potomac. No uniform. No staff car. No assistant. She wore a charcoal coat and carried nothing except the small ring box in one hand. I stopped. You brought it. Yes. Nervous? No. Her thumb moved against her watch. I looked down. She immediately pulled her hand away. Do not. I laughed. You're terrible at lying to me. I am reconsidering this entire evening. No, you're not. No. Dinner was surprisingly normal. That was the best part. She complained about Washington traffic. I told her North Star wanted me to lead the first Northern Response deployment. She asked how long. 4 months of rotating work. Mostly Alaska. Some travel. Her eyes tightened. Then she caught herself. Do you want it? Yes. Then take it. I smiled. No hesitation. No counteroffer. No secret attempt to relocate the work closer to Washington. Just take it. And you? I asked. What about me? 3 years here. Yes. You still want it? Yes. Then we have a difficult marriage. She froze. I kept eating. Aaron. What? You said marriage. Did I? She stared at me. I smiled. Finish your dinner. I suddenly dislike you. No, you don't. No. That one word carried far too much affection. Afterward, Ingrid did not take me somewhere dramatic. No monument. No rooftop. No military hall. She took me to her apartment. The same apartment with 1 plate and 2 coffee mugs. Except something had changed. There were now 2 plates. I looked inside the cabinet. Then at her. Serious commitment. I bought 4. I checked. She had. Reckless. I am growing. On the refrigerator was the Alaska postcard. Beside it, another postcard. Washington at night. I turned it over. Nothing written yet. Ingrid? She took it from me. Then sat at the small kitchen table. Sit. I raised an eyebrow. She closed her eyes briefly. Would you sit with me? Absolutely. I sat across from her. For several seconds, she said nothing. Then she placed the ring box between us. Not in front of me. Between us. I practiced this. I assumed. 23 times. That also sounds like you. None of them were right. Why? Because every version sounded like a plan. That was probably the most self-aware sentence she had ever spoken. She opened the box. The ring caught the kitchen light. Inside the band, the engraving was still there. Your choice. Ingrid looked at me. For 6 years, I trusted you to stand between me and whatever came through the door. Her voice was steady. Almost. I trusted you with routes, threats, decisions, and my life. She paused. But when you retired, I realized I had made a mistake. What mistake? I thought loving you meant finding a new reason to keep you beside me. That was exactly what the first proposal had been. A new assignment. A new role. A way to make uncertainty disappear. She continued. You do not need another assignment. Her eyes held mine. And I do not need another guard. I smiled slightly. Progress. Do not interrupt. That sounded like an order. Aaron. I laughed. Her mouth twitched. Then she became serious again. I want a partner who tells me no. A dangerous preference. I want the man who leaves when leaving is right, stays when staying is his choice, and never confuses loving me with obeying me. My chest tightened. She picked up the ring. Aaron Beckett. Her hand shook. Actually shook. I had seen this woman stand under gunfire without trembling. This terrified her more. Will you marry me? No command. No future already decided. No, now guard me. Just a question. I looked at the ring, then at her. Yes. She did not move. I smiled. Ingrid. Yes? You can breathe. She exhaled so sharply I laughed. You are certain? Yes. You have considered Alaska? Yes. Washington? Yes. My schedule? Yes. My personality? That was the hardest part. Her eyes narrowed. Then I reached across the table and took the ring. There is one correction. Her expression immediately became wary. What? When we first did this, you told me to guard you as your husband. Yes. I'm retiring from that job too. She stared. I slipped the ring onto my finger. It fit. I'll stand beside you. Her face changed. No commander. No ice queen. Just Ingrid. That is acceptable. Acceptable? Her eyes softened. Then she leaned across the table and kissed me. When she pulled back, she whispered, "Highly adequate." I stared at her, then started laughing. She laughed too. And for once, neither of us had anywhere else to be. Alaska was still there. Washington was still there. Her command would remain difficult. My work would take me away. Marriage would not erase distance, careers, or stubborn personalities. But that was never what the ring meant. Not anymore. It meant neither of us needed duty to keep the other close. Ingrid rested her hand over mine. "So," I looked at her. "So, Sunday dinner with my brother?" I groaned. "The general?" "Yes." "The one who helped choose the ring?" "Yes." "Is that an order?" She smiled. "No." A pause. "Would you come with me, future husband?" I squeezed her hand. "Yes." Her whole face softened. And there was the word I had heard 100 times before, finally meaning something entirely different. Good. That's all for today. Remember to subscribe and support us.